points. How many times, and this is a multiple choice, how many times have we been scoreless in all competitions this season? Is it 2 times, 3 times, or 4 times?
Vass.
Twice.
Incorrect.
Ken. 3.
Yes. You wouldn't have to know who those were, would you?
I do not.
I know one
and
of
that's
them.
fine. We won't believe
I know one of them. Give me a bonus point.
No. All right.
You got your bonus point.
I'll give you your half point that you need to take.
There we go. We didn't score against Swansea in the beginning of the year.
That's right. That was a 0-0. Yep.
I know that one, so give me that half point. Earned it.
Okay.
Bagged it.
The sad thing is, you should have remembered. You got to start thinking of the losses. United and Arsenal were the other two. And believe it or not, here's an interesting stat. September the 16th to November the 18th. That's the period that those 3 games appearing. We've been scoreless. So there's a silver lining. We scored in every other game. Ken, you got 2 points on that one. Holy crap.
It's funny actually saying that, Ches, that our best form each season seems to come between the months of November and March.
Right.
We have notoriously slow starts, don't we? And then we sort of fizzle out towards the end. So
we can pinpoint it. The last 3 seasons, we can circle it on the calendar, the series of results that have scuppered us. But again, you just don't know how the rest of the season pans out, so it's done in retrospect. All right, question number 4. My favorite player, Serge Aurier, scored his first goal this season in December. Who was the opponent?
Ken.
Vass.
Ken.
Everton.
Oh, come on, that was me.
No, it's not Everton. So Vassy was second. Yes.
Brighton.
Correct. Vass is on the board. And last question for today, multiple choice. How many own goals have we benefited from so far this season, all competitions?
Vass.
Where's the multiple choice?
I got to give you the multiple choice. Is it 5, 6, or 7?
Wow.
Tim.
Vass.
Well, Vass chimed in first, so...
No, he didn't. He chimed in prematurely.
I've always been guilty of being some premature chiming, fellas.
Well, you need to answer it now, or your wife will kill you.
Oh, no. 5.
Yes, Vass. All right, so scores on the doors. Ken has 6 points. Vass, 2. And Timmy, you get to round up, and I'm sure with such... a small gap between top and bottom, that probably puts Ken back on top. And it looks like, I don't know how many pods we've got left this season, maybe 3, maybe 4.
I'm about to bottle it.
Yes, Tim, you are bottling it. All right, move on. Listener questions, Ken, is that right? We have that?
Yeah, we do have a bunch of listener questions. Where are we at? Vass, you have some of those pulled up?
Yeah, I got them here. So, okay. So I've got about 4 or 5 questions here. We'll try and keep it quick and brief. Let's start with you, Ches. What was your biggest disappointment with yesterday? That comes from Nick on Twitter @NickPlay.
Whoa, that's an all-encompassing, loaded question. Biggest disappointment was clearly... I said to Ken, let's call this podcast the Hateful 8 because that's the 8th defeat in a row at the semi-final stage, and I think that hurts the most.
The record.
Is it? Are we the worst team at semi-final performances? Great.
Consecutives, yep.
Well, and the pessimist in me says I'd rather lose at the semi-final stage than lose in the final, but there's the what ifs, and so having witnessed every single one of those semi-finals, that's where the hurt really gets you. But I think the biggest disappointment was just the overall performance. It started off brightly. It was a great goal, and we really haven't even mentioned the goal. The pass from Sanchez that just had Eriksson leave Ashley Young for dead, and that luscious cross and finish from Ali was fantastic. And that's where I think I highlighted that Son opportunity, and there were a couple of other opportunities, and United defended them well. I think who would have thought Phil Jones and Smalling would be as good as they were yesterday, and once it started to unravel, that's where my disappointment is.
So the performance, okay, all right, Tim. If This one's from Alex Bottomley at xxander 1982. If the United City and Juve games tell us anything, it's that to win silverware, Spurs will have to find another level in general and especially mentally. Who in the squad should need moving on the grounds that they'll never make that leap?
Wow.
Oh man, you're asking me to cut people?
Yeah, man.
I would say
Nick.
number one, Danny Rose. Your pace is gone. That's what made you so great 2 seasons ago. It's not there anymore. And I think while people are talking about paying money for you and paying a transfer fee for you, we need to capitalize on that now, because I don't think you're ever getting back to where you were, especially. And then also, put the performance aside, his speaking out in the season. I think we just need to move on from that. Trips as a starter, I wouldn't say completely move him off the team, but as a starter, I don't think he's getting any better than he is right now, which isn't at the quality that we need it. So I mean, those two and the fullbacks, I think that's huge right there. And then I guess if I had to give you one more, I think it's easy to point out Sissoko. That's a scapegoat, but that's the easiest one. You are not at the potential of where we need to be.
And Tim, let's talk about your bet with Sam. You're going to lose that, right?
Yeah, I'm probably going to lose that.
Best forgotten about. Yeah, here's one for you, Kenny. This one's from Davey Elder at the Spurs Poet. He says, I struggle to believe that Poch does not value the FA Cup. His countrymen Ozzy and Ricky have thrived since 1981 on that game alone. Is it Levy who has played down the cup competitions to make sure the new stadium has Champions League football?
Wow. I don't know that it's necessarily Levy, and I'm kind of in the camp that from a manager's perspective and from an ownership/board perspective, that top 4 Champions League and the league itself are nominally more important than cup competitions. When you have a history like Tottenham does, that we are a cup club, it makes it a little difficult, especially from the fan base. But and fans want to win silverware. That's all we want to see is our guys lifting a trophy. But I don't know that it is Levy who has played down the cup competitions. I think you could generally see when that second goal went in yesterday, Pochettino put his head in his hands. He was noticeably disappointed. When it's right there and you can reach out and grasp it, and you're standing on the touchline watching your team play, it's disappointing when they lose, and especially when you know that the fans want to have something to jump up and down about, and I don't know. I don't know if that's necessarily the case, that it's Levy who's playing this down, but I do think that there is more of an emphasis put on making sure that the competitions where money is involved the most are what our priority is, at least at this point.
Yeah, I think I'll just chime in there as well, because there was a lot of chat about this the other day off the back of Pochettino's pre-game press conference, where he yet again played down the value of the FA Cup. The way I see it is that he recognises that winning the FA Cup won't necessarily alter the course of progress that we are already on. I'm sure he'd love to win it. That's why you could see when we scored the first goal, he was really quite animated, Pochettino was. So I think he understands the importance of it. For some reason, he just chooses in the press conferences, maybe he's trying to take pressure off the players or whatever he's trying to do. He chooses to play it down, which may or may not be the right thing to do. But I certainly believe that it means something to him, and he recognises the importance of it to the club. Moving on, there's a couple of questions here. I'll just read them both out quickly because they're kind of interrelated. There's one from Todd Paolo at PBZHS, who says, despite some fantastic highs this season, yesterday had the air of being the end of the first Poch cycle. Who do we replace? Where do we strengthen? Brackets, some choices being made for us with the inevitable exits. And Howie Hiss at HH Joga Bonito says, "Are we still lacking leadership? A veteran that makes us believe." Howie believes so. So there's a couple of things we've already touched on all this. To be fair, but I think it's just a feeling there amongst the fans that these are the issues that we need to address. I don't know if anyone's got any comments to make on that.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to note, and Simon, you can help me reflect back to this when we talked to Brad Friedel. He mentioned,
Did that happen? Did that happen?
Shut up. Fuck off.
It never happened.
So when we talked to Brad, we talked about captaincy, right? And at the time, it was, is Bentaleb going to be the next captain, and is Mason going to be the next captain? I mean, we think back that far ago. And Brad made a very succinct point to say, there's about 8 or 9 captains on that pitch at any given time. All, just because one guy is wearing the armband doesn't mean that they're not all leaders. And, to say that there is a distinct focal leader on that team, is it Hugo? Is that only because of his age? Is it Jan? Maybe in the bigger scheme of things, does that armband need to slide more into the midfield or into the fullback or center back position? And just because of a communication standpoint, I don't think it necessarily does. I don't think that the armband means a whole lot to Pochettino and who's wearing it and how that leadership quality is resonated on the pitch. Simon, you agree? You remember that?
Yeah, and I think my opinion has always been that good captains tend to generate their leadership from midfield because they're close enough to give the defenders a kick up the arse and help the forwards out. So if you're a striker or goalkeeper, I think you isolate yourself. That's my opinion.
Okay, that's it for questions, fellas.
All right, let's move on.
Thank you, listeners.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Always, please get those out to us. Love discussing those and getting those on the show and getting you a shout at the same time. We play Watford next week on Monday Night Football. So we won't record on the weekend. We'll record Monday night, probably after that match. So we're going to go ahead and do the injury report for that. So Tim, Watford. I love the hashtag on that anyway because we're at home. So it's TOTWAT. To twat. I love it.
Twats.
To twat.
To twat.
Tim, what do you got for injuries, man?
Timmy, get out the Bengay. You know what time it is. Groin pull. Deep thigh bruise.
All right, looking at your twat injuries. For Watford, you got 5 players who are definitely out. Tommy Hoban is out with an ACL injury for the rest of the season. Nathan Chalobah is out with a patella fracture. Yunus Kabul is out with a metatarsal fracture. He could be coming back before the end of the season, but not for this match. Tom Cleverley is out with a hamstring, and Gerard Deulofeu is most likely out with a stress fracture in his foot. So those 5 I do not think we will see this weekend. 3 to keep an eye on. Andre Diaz had a knock. He should be fit. Sebastian Preutel missed this past weekend's match, but that was due to an illness, so I would expect him to be back. And then Roberto Pereira picked up a groin strain in the match this past weekend against Palace, but it's not looking too serious. They got him subbed off on it, so he could be back as well. But those are 3 to keep your eye on for the Watford match. As far as Tottenham, Danny Rose has his calf strain, but it's looking like he should be available for selection for Watford should we choose to go with him. Harry Winks, I don't think we'll see him for the rest of the season. He's still dealing with that ankle injury. He was recently seeking treatment in Qatar for it, so I don't expect him to feature for the rest of the season. But those are your injuries looking at the week ahead.
Okay.
We have sorry. I was on mute. Sorry about that, guys. Tim's injury update. Thanks a lot, Tim. Community Beer Company Mosaic IPA predictions for this match.